One thing we should touch on when it comes to performance, chassis stiffness is something that's pretty critical.
There's been a lot of development work done on this car, including they were pounding around, the engineers, a lot of laps around the Nürburgring, getting this car absolutely sorted. This is one of those cars where it's not just stickers, wide wheels and a bit of a suspension tune. There's hardware on this car that Rick's going to point out to us as we continue going around. That's from stuff like the Shelby GT 350 or the Shelby GT 500, which is on sale, which are serious weapons over in the USA. The more you look at this car, and I think when we were talking at the racetrack on Monday, you referred to it as hidden gems on this car, and that's a great way of putting it, where at first glance you go, love it, nice, cool, excellent, so cool, you look at the power figures, but then you see some of the hardware that's on here that's dedicated for pounding around the track and delivering constant lap times that are just awesome.
Absolutely. So when we talk about the chassis, a couple of things that have been changed on this car. Firstly is the stiffer spring package and slightly stiffer anti-roll bars as well. So one thing, and we will show that vision of the hot lap, I think it's a pretty exciting thing, but the difference between a road car and a race car generally from a chassis point of view is that stiffness. So you would have noticed in the change of direction left and rights that we went through at Broadford, it was nice and flat and very predictable from inside the car. So those are the reasons why. Normally a road car, you turn a corner on the racetrack and you hear a lot of tyre screeching and it yaws up and you can't sort of get it quickly to react to what your driver inputs are and turn the other way. So those are a couple of things that have really stiffened the car up for us, and I was quite surprised by that because the trip down to the racetrack, down the highway, it was actually pretty comfortable to drive.
That's the thing, that you have something that is so set up and so optimized for being a total track day weapon. You think, oh, this is just going to be awful to live with driving as a normal car. I had access to this for the last 2 days. I was doing a bit of driving, quite a bit of driving at some point around the Melbourne CBD. You'd be amazed, putting it in normal mode, how comfortable it is. It's got the Magnaride suspension and things like that, the different driving modes. So it is absolutely perfect as an everyday commute, yet absolutely a total track day weapon when you need it to be.
And the Shelby GT 500 rear toe link, I mean, that's again something that gives you that platform to work from. And having parts off a car like that, I think is a real buzz for me.
Well, this is how serious the engineers took setting up this car towards that track orientation, where things like that Shelby gear helps with the stability at high speeds, because they're thinking this person who buys this car, look, they may not all want to do it, but they like the idea that it can. And then there are those people who are going to do track days in this car, and they will love it.
And it transforms to that perfectly. And these are all the things you can't really see when you look at the car, but you definitely feel them. So It was very good for me to drive the car and then understand how it's actually being able to produce that amount of grip and that beautiful handling, that nice neutral balance that you want on a racetrack. But let's take a little bit of a look now around the back of the car. We spoke earlier under the front. It's got an extended front under tray, helps with brake cooling, also increases the front downforce. A beautiful little nice addition here on the top of the boot lid.
It's those aerodynamics. Now, you were talking earlier about the percentage of increased downforce on this car compared to GT.
Yeah, absolutely. So compared to the GT, it produces 22% more downforce. Now that's a big chunk. When you look at a V8 supercar, we change little things and it might be at 1% here and 2% there. So 22% really pushes the car onto the ground. At a racetrack, that's pretty critical. So this spoiler does certainly produce a little bit of that.
It's all part of that?
It's part of that. But when we take a little bit of a look down here at the back of the car, it's also got an under tray extended in the back of the car here. Now what happens, obviously the air comes under the car, and as the under tray in the rear comes up, the gap gets bigger, it creates a low pressure system here and pulls the back of the car down. So that's how you increase the rear downforce at the back of the car. So like I say, again, to reiterate, 22% is a massive jump compared to that Mustang GT.